Good morning and welcome to Missoula Real Estate Today. This is Denny Bedard. Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Diane's been working with buyers and sellers in the Missoula market for over 25 years and shares her insights on the local housing market. Along with her trusted partners, Diane provides complete service for your real estate transaction and brings us guests who provide useful information on industry-related topics and trends. And now, Missoula Real Estate Today on News Talk, KGVO. And we hope you are enjoying a beautiful first weekend in October. Thank you for joining us here on News Talk KGVO. Missoula Real Estate Today brought to you by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. And we asked Doug Reisig to come back. I didn't realize it had been 4 months since you'd been in here, but it had when I looked back on our calendar. Doug Reisig, Superintendent of Hellgate Elementary here in Missoula. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, Danny. It has been 4 months, and I'm happy to be back, and thank you for inviting me to be back.
You bet. Well, we have to get reacquainted for the benefit of those who may not know your background and the background and history of the school and those kinds of things.
Sure. Well, I'm born and raised in Montana, obviously. I taught for 9 years, and then I was a middle school, high school principal for 4 years, and for the past 32 years, I've been a school superintendent with 21 of those years being at Hellgate Elementary. As we recall from the last time we were here, Hellgate Elementary began in 1869 as a one-room schoolhouse for 16 farm kids, and now we're located on a 43-acre campus. We have 4 buildings, over 1,500 kids, 180 employees every day, so it's just a growing area out there, as you well know, and there's no end in sight.
Yep, and that's how it ties into a real estate show. We'll get that. I also prepared you an icy bottle of water. I didn't even tell you that's yours if you need it over
Thank
there.
You, Danny.
The uniqueness of a K-8 in a larger community, that's a bit of a rarity, isn't it?
It is, and there's fewer and fewer of K-8s. Obviously, Hellgate Elementary is the largest independent elementary school district in Montana. We used to be closely aligned with East Helena and Lockwood. They're now K-12 districts in Helena and Billings, and we're I guess the next largest one, we're about twice as large as the next largest one, I think, is in Evergreen. But it is a rarity. We don't have a high school component. When I got the job over 20 years ago, the superintendent that was leaving said, well, the advantage of being in a K-8, you're going to deal with curriculum, instruction, and assessment. And by golly, he was right. That's what we deal with out there. We have an extracurricular program, but it isn't as imperative as on a high school level. And I've just enjoyed it. It's been a wonderful opportunity for me. I'm so thankful to have been given the opportunity, and I think it's just a great place for people to work and kids to go to school.
Well, again, you were here 4 months ago, so we had essentially kids had to stop going to classes for, I guess a couple of months by then. You were near the end of the school year. Did ask you to kind of look ahead, even at that point, how you felt things were going to be in late August and early September. And I remember you saying that in some way, shape, or form, we will have kids in school. We will have kids in classes, and that's been accomplished to a certain point. Meet or exceed expectations? How do you feel the school year started compared to how you felt it was going to start?
Well, I'm very pleased. At this point, obviously, we shut down on March 23rd with the governor's order. We never went back. We tried to continue. We tried to teach online as best we possibly could to get through the spring, and all through the summer, we made contingency plans and arrangements to how were we going to open in the fall. And Hellgate Elementary, in working with parents and the school board, we made the decision we were going to open, and we opened 5 days a week for all of the kids who wanted to come back on campus. I'm not saying that's the right answer, and other school districts have had other solutions for their education for their kids, but it's worked for us. We have over 1,250 of our 1,500 kids on campus. We have a little over 200 kids that chose the distance learning option, which we provided, which we didn't have to, but we provided that for parents and kids who are a little bit nervous about coming back, and I think that's been working well. We've made some adjustments in that, and our teachers have just done a fabulous job. I mean, they've gone over and above what I expected them to do in terms of trying to reach the needs of the in-person learner as well as the distance education learner, and I couldn't be more pleased with the effort that they have put in.
Yeah, and I'm sure that not everyone in a position in a upper management level position, if you will, as a superintendent, can say that about a staff. I don't mean just in school. I mean in any industries, but I can just tell you're incredibly proud of the folks you are working with.
Well, I am, and of course, I'm on that campus with them. I see them every day. I see those kids every day, and and I've adjusted some of their work assignments and repurposed some of the people, and they've just stepped up. They're in areas that they're licensed to be in, maybe have never taught in those areas, but they put in the homework and they put in the time to get up to speed to provide that quality education for our kids. And it's just been as difficult as COVID-19 is, to see the resiliency of the professional educator that Montana has and Hellgate Elementary has. It's just been refreshing for me.
Missoula Real Estate Today is presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest is Doug Reisig. Doug is the superintendent at Hellgate Elementary here in Missoula. I guess we'll go by category, Doug, and let's go ahead and start with the kiddos. Everybody says, well, children are resilient and they'll be just fine, but how have they responded to all of this? What do you think of them?
You know, they're probably the best part of the whole thing, the response that our kids have stepped up. We've asked them when we reopen the school, there are three things. We need to have you wear a mask. We need you to hand sanitize as much as you possibly can, and we need you to try to keep 6 foot away from people and, the social physical distancing. And our kids have just done a remarkable job. You wouldn't think that you would have, you have all these little kids and there's going to be a huge problem for them to follow these rules. And that just hasn't been the case. They want to be in school. And as you and I were talking earlier, maybe not the academic part, which they've stepped up and done as well, but to be around other people, the social aspect. Hellgate Elementary is a home to a lot of our kids. They start as kindergartners, pre-K. They stay on the same campus through 8th grade. And it's their home, and to have that ripped away from them through no fault of their own. They didn't ask for COVID-19, and yet they're the group of children and the group of people in our community that have taken the largest hit. They've lost summer camps. They lost school in the spring. They've lost extracurricular activities, and we're trying to make it as normal for them as possible, and they're doing their part, and I'm so proud of them.
That is pretty amazing, isn't it? Because part of what you have to enforce or drive home is to children, especially when you brought up the younger grades, what you're trying to impress upon them is what you do now as far as being vigilant and learning how to do all these things. That's going to affect what you will get to do the next few years down the road in your young lives.
It is true. And for these kids to continue to lose educational opportunity will have a ramification way down the road that it's going to be negative to them. So what we've tried to do at Hellgate Elementary is create as normal as an environment as we possibly can. Is it as normal as it normally is? No. But it's better than not being able to be there at all, because we don't want them to have a negative consequence down the road. And again, they've just done their part, and whatever they can do to stay in school, they've stepped up to do.
And I imagine there's a lot of peer pressure involved, and I don't mean in a negative way, but peer pressure among those kids getting after each other. But get that mask on right now.
They talk
Mr. Reisig, where's your mask?
They talk to each other, and of course, the school board has been great in terms of providing us with the resources to provide for extra cleaning personnel, to provide for extra staffing personnel, to try to make sure that we have the facility, the health, welfare, and safety of our kids, the facility clean, the educational opportunities, since we're having to keep lower class size and to have more adult supervision in those kind of things. And for us to have a school board, Diane Beck is a member of our school board, and she's just done a fabulous job, as well as her 6 other colleagues on that board, to give us the resources to provide that opportunity for those kids to go to school.
Doug Reisig, Superintendent at Hellgate Elementary here in Missoula, our guest on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere. How about the parents, Doug? What kind of feedback, positive, negative, their concerns, the things that they're very happy about? What are you getting from the parents so far at Hellgate?
Well, again, I think our parents have done a wonderful job. It's uncomfortable for them, obviously, with the new reality that we're dealing with, but they've done what we've asked them to do. We try to keep them as informed as we possibly can. Goodness gracious, I've sent out constant reminders and updates to parents, and they've been very appreciative of that. As I mentioned earlier, we've changed direction a little bit on our distance learning program and made an adjustment. We had town hall meetings to try to let our parents know what those adjustments are, and they've rolled with it in terms of trying to make it as best they possibly can for our kids, whether in person or distance learning. And again, I think, Denny, the big thing for us, we just try to keep them informed. And that's what they've asked. If you'll just let us know what's going on, we can work with you on this. And they've just been remarkable.
Are you impressed, surprised? You mentioned that your remote, I think you said about 250 of your students are doing remote learning. So 250 out of 1,500, it's not a huge percentage. Did it surprise you? Did it please you? Is it something you expected? What do you think about that number?
Well, interestingly enough, we did a survey of all of our parents at the first part of the summer, a whole series of questions as to what would you like, what would you think, where would you want your kids to be educationally. And quite frankly, from that response and what we're seeing right now, the percentages are about the same. I mean, our parents, they said, I want my child back on campus. I want my child in a distance learning program until such time as the COVID-19 thing has settled down a little bit. So the percentages were about the same. Again, we've made some adjustments in our program. We tried a live stream real time where our teachers were doing both in-person and distance learning at the same time, which made it very, very difficult for the in-person kids, the distance learning kids, as well as our staff. We've adjusted now. We actually have 3 of our teachers being totally dedicated to the distance learning option. So they're dealing with the distance learning kids. We're using some programs through that to make it easier. Our in-person teachers are dealing with the in-person kids. Yeah. And I think that's helped all groups. And again, for our parents to be flexible enough to make that adjustment and to give us the time to make that adjustment has just been remarkable and very much appreciated on my part.
How did you make that determination as far as who was going to be the distance learning teacher and who was going to be the in-class students in the school teacher?
Yeah, we actually interviewed. We opened it up to all of our staff if they were interested. We interviewed the people that were interested, and the people that were interested that we were able to select are just remarkable educators. They've all been there over decades. They're all master's degree level people. One of them is writing a doctoral dissertation right now. They've all done excellent work and extensive work in distance learning and in remote learning. So we felt real good about those folks, and we rolled it out this week with a soft rollout, and they're meeting their kids, meeting their parents, doing placement tests, benchmark tests, and it's gone very well, and I'm very, very encouraged.
And take me through the phase part as far as how many days a week kids can be in school, and there's talk about hopefully, if the health department signs off on it and things look feasible, that there'll be an opportunity for kids to be in school more days per week than they are right now. Do I have that right?
Yeah, we're kind of different than some of the other school districts around
That's
the
why I asked that, because
area.
something you said early in the interview, I thought, well.
Because we're in school 5 days a week.
Right.
Now, granted, our days are a little short. We run a staggered shift in the morning in terms of our 6th through 8th graders start school at 8 o'clock. They're done at 1:45. Our K-5 kids start at 9 o'clock. They're done at 2:45. That allows us the opportunity to clean our buses between runs, and it allows us to try to keep social distancing as best we possibly can when kids arrive. But we are on campus, and we are open for business. As I mentioned earlier, we've had 3 separate instances of COVID-19 in the school district. We've notified parents. We followed the protocols from the City County Health Department. Our school nurse, Braden Byrne, has just done a fabulous job networking and liaisoning with people in the county health department, and we've been able to stay open. And able. My big concern, Danny, that I have is not so much that I'm going to lose kids that I can't stay open. My concern is I'm going to lose adults. I'm going to lose teachers. And right now I'm making a plea for substitutes. We could use more substitute employees, substitute teachers, in case we do lose some of our staff, which is the big concern for us. Because if we can't fill those spots with substitutes, that will force us to have to shut down. And we don't want to find ourselves there.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Doug Reisig, the superintendent at Hellgate Elementary here in Missoula, a K-8 school, and one of the most desirable parts of the city as far as housing. And Doug, a lot of we did talk about this last year, or the last time you were here, I should say, in May. A lot of the new construction focused out your way, and more is planned in the next few years. And how do you feel that's going to impact your planned growth at Hellgate?
Well, it is going to have a significant impact.
Yeah.
There's no doubt. Fortunately for us, again, with the new construction of our middle school, we have over 1,500 kids right now. We think we can comfortably absorb around 1,800 children on campus. If push came to shove, we could do 2,000. But so we're deeply involved in the development in our area, trying to figure out where the housing is going to be, what is the timeline for that housing. Are all those houses going to be built within the next year or two? Is it going to be a 20-year plan? I've been blessed to be on the steering committee of the Mullen Build Roadway System and just an advisory committee listening to that and providing input as to how will this roadway development impact schools and impact school transportation, which at our district is paramount because we transport every child If you live across the street and you want a bus to pick you up because it's dangerous for your kids to cross Mullen or Broadway or Flynn Lane, Reserve Street, whatever, we're going to come get you. And so all of that is important to us, and we're monitoring it, and we're an active player in that. And we just want to make sure that the board has been proactive to position ourselves to be available to absorb increased enrollment, but we just don't know where that's going to be down the road, so we're staying on top of it as best we can.
I'd like to ask you a little bit more about that, because we obviously on a real estate show weekly, we talk about the Mullen project and where housing developments might be and what sort of guidelines there'll be to the development and those kinds of things, but really haven't had an opportunity to say much about the roadway system, and you're obviously heavily involved in that.
Oh, it's huge.
Is there anything in particular that's jumping out at you that you say, in its existing form, this will be fine, or man, if they're going to build there, we've got to do this to the roadway system? Are you seeing any red flags there that need to be addressed? Well,
I think the Mullen Build grant was a huge plus for us, the $13 million that the city county got for that. I wish they had got the full amount.
They were shooting for 25.
Yeah, we could do even more. But sitting on that committee and looking, okay, how are we going to address George Elmer and Mullen? How are we going to address Mary Jane and Mullen? How are we going to address Mary Jane and Broadway?
Yeah.
England Boulevard and George Elmer. The big thing for us right now is, are we going to be able to take some of that traffic volume off of Flynn Lane, for heaven's sakes, with the school sits right on, and it's a bypass road right now. People want to stay off Reserve Street, and at Flynn and Mullen, you have a confluence of traffic going east and west and coming to the north, and you've got construction companies and trucks coming in. It's really difficult, and for us, it's dangerous for our kids. So just to be able to have a seat at the table to offer input and to have that input be respected by the city and the county and the engineering firms has been such a wonderful thing for us at Hellgate Elementary, and we're certainly let them know what our concerns are, and the bus company has been very vocal as well.
Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. Our guest, Doug Reisig, the superintendent at Hellgate Elementary. Oh, I should say thanks to some of Diane's marketing partners, too, that help bring you the show on News Talk KGVO every weekend. Rob Fleming with Man Mortgage, Miles Link of Opportunity Bank of Montana, and Carol Blodgett from MakeItMissoula.com. Doug, I'm sure you get a lot of questions about this. Your school district is highly regarded. It's highly sought after. So you have a family that's considering moving somewhere into your area. They want to know about your school. What's your presentation? What do you tell them?
Well, I try to tell them, I start off by saying that we're still a school district that embraces Montana values. We're very traditional. We believe in honesty. We believe in hard work. We're very authentic and respectful of not only the kids, regardless of what walk of life they come from. Denny, as you well know, we have some of the most affluent children of Missoula that go to Hellgate Elementary. We have some of the most economically challenged children that go there. We have all kinds of ethnicities of children that go there. But you know what? The bottom line is they're Hellgate Elementary children. We don't care where they come from. They're our kids. They are bused to one campus, and that was a deliberate decision that a board made 40 years ago to have that one campus. And the bottom line that we do above everything else is that we're a forgiving group of people. We all make mistakes. We forgive those mistakes. We try to learn from those mistakes, and we try to move on. And we deal with the whole child. We have the moral and the political will, I think, at Hellgate Elementary to do what's right by kids and to make sure that all of our kids feel that they have a home. Are there things we could do better? Are there things I could do better? Absolutely. But we learn from those and try to do them better the next time. And I think what we would tell parents, you give us your child, you put your child's care into our hands and trust us. We're going to make sure we do the very best we can to make sure your child, the health, welfare, and safety and education. Well,
getting back to the whole coronavirus situation, and you hope and pray that you don't have to deal with it from this position, but what are you looking at as, are there more contingency plans in place should you have to discontinue or walk back a little bit the way you're doing things right now?
Yeah, we're doing that right now. We're currently in-servicing all of our teachers that are in person to get them up to speed on how does this distance learning option work? If we have to go to that, and now these kids that you're dealing with in person are now all distance learners, how are you going to be able to embrace the program that we have in place? So we're going through that training right now, just in anticipation, just for some future planning, because the last thing we want to do is get caught shorthanded and all of a sudden we have a spike in COVID-19 cases and we have to send kids home, have to send teachers home, and we have no educational plan in place for those kids. And that's not fair to them. So we're going through that right now, Danny.
You'd probably have to bring on a few more distance learning teachers on your staff than what you got right now.
Well, we may have to.
Although it sounds like you got a lot of willing participants.
We do, and we would repurpose our in-person teachers. And again, if we had to shut down, all of our in-person teachers would become distance learning teachers. And if we had a significant outbreak of COVID-19 among students and teachers that would force, we could still stay open, but yet we had a large number of distance learning students now moving into that area, we may get into a situation where we'd have to repurpose teachers and reshuffle the deck in terms of where kids are in terms of classrooms. So we're getting those contingency plans in place. We think we're pretty well ready to go, but we're providing that training right now.
Yeah. Talk a little bit more about these people. You seem very proud justifiably so, of your faculty and staff.
And that's we always kid when we have young teachers.
You can be the doting parent right now as the superintendent.
Well, they are great people. We tell people when we interview that the reason we have this position available is we're growing, or we've had people that have served their entire career at Hellgate Elementary and they've retired from there. And that says something about a school district. If you are comfortable enough there as a professional educator to start your career at a school system and end your career at the same school district, that's kind of a rarity in today's world. And yet there must be something there that makes those people feel comfortable. And I think it's just the environment. Again, I've been there 21, 22 years. It's not because I'm there. It's because of the people that came before me, the people that are there right now, and the people that are going to carry that torch down the road. We always tell people, we may be on the wrong road, Denny, but we're on a road, and our people embrace that idea, and they're just fabulous educators and fabulous human beings.
Well, another group that I think that you really enjoy working with, you brought it up, Diane Beck, Windermere, our host of the show, school board member. One of my good friends, Tom McLaughlin, Paradise Falls, has been pretty involved with that school board. I think you're pretty pleased with the folks on your school board, too. You seem to be a very cohesive unit.
Well, I am, and of course, some of those people that are still on the school board were on the school board when I got hired over 20 years ago. And so collectively, we have worked together to produce or to help refine a vision and a mission for that school district in conjunction with our teachers and our administrators and our parents, that we provide an educational opportunity for our kids, that we want our kids to be engaged. We want them to be motivated to want to learn more. And we want them to be prepared for when they leave us and go to a high school. And the board has bought into that, and they have been child-centered since day one. And for those folks many, if not all of them, their children are already out of our school. Yeah. And yet they are committed to Hellgate Elementary and committed to education there and to the children that are still there. They're not just placeholders. They're actual involved school board members that have children's best interest at heart.
I think another thing, you've done a wonderful job encouraging. You brought this up when you were here in May, and I asked you about it. Sometimes I think there's that stigma of, well, I don't want my kid in a K through 8 because it's only a first or second grader. That means the big ones in 7th and 8th grade are going to be picking on the little ones in first and second grade. And it seems like you've done a very good job of instilling almost kind of a mentor program where the big ones kind of just take the responsibility of mentoring the younger ones.
Well, until COVID-19 hit, that's exactly what happened. We actually had some of our middle school students would actually go into the lower grades and work with those kids and help teach them in certain subjects and just be friends with them. And because the little guys look up to our middle school kids. But again, our campus being built with 4 separate buildings and 4 separate playgrounds and different 4 separate cafeterias in a normal year where we don't have COVID-19, we're able to separate where we need to separate so the children can maintain their own individual identity. Well, at the same time, because we're on the same campus, provide that mentoring, provide that good public relations with our older kids, with our younger kids. And I'll guarantee you, those little ones look up to those middle school kids. And just as middle school kids look up to the University of Montana, the Grizzlies, and high school kids.
Gosh, there's another thing I didn't even think to ask you about is meal plans and how meals are being served during all of this?
Well, I got to give a shout out to Noreen Anderson, our business manager, district clerk, Julie Smith, who is the director of our food service program. They've worked wonderfully with the congressional delegations in Washington to get some guidelines waived. We actually feed every child, regardless of socioeconomic condition, whether you're in person or whether you're distance learning. We'll feed you breakfast. We'll feed you lunch. We'll take it to your home if you're a distance learner to make sure you have adequate food during the course of the school week. And it's just been a fabulous program for us. We started it in the summer. We were able to continue it now, I think, up through December 22nd. Maybe it'll be able to go beyond that. But for right now, every child has the opportunity to have breakfast and lunch if they want it. And
how about your peers personally? What are other principals of schools telling you around the city when you know?
I was just at a meeting with some area superintendents yesterday in Missoula, and I'll just tell you right now, every one of them is working extremely hard to make sure they position their individual school districts to provide the best possible educational opportunity for their kids. We don't all have the same plan, but not all of us are cookie-cutter schools. We have different situations. Some are larger, some are smaller, some are more rural. But Danny, I'm just so impressed when I sit down with those folks and hear what they're trying to do in conjunction with their teachers, their administrators, and their communities to make sure schools can function. It is imperative that our kids be given an educational opportunity and have that opportunity for an education. And to listen to those folks and all the plans they're coming up with, heck, I cut and paste. I take stuff from them all the time. Sure. And it's just nice to have that collegial feeling in Missoula.
Doug Reisig is the superintendent of Hellgate Elementary, K-8 here in Missoula. And gosh, Doug, believe it or not, almost out of time. Is there anything I missed that you want to make sure people know about on Missoula Real Estate Today this week?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank you again, Denny, for the opportunity. Pleasure. It's always fun for me to showcase Hellgate Elementary. I'm so proud of it, so proud to be there. I'm so thankful to be there. But I just want people to know that we're monitoring the development. We're trying to stay ahead of it, making sure our kids have adequate school facilities to attend. We're monitoring COVID, trying to work with it as best we possibly can so kids can continue to go to school, but also at the same time making sure that they're safe.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's fine.
I always like to ask about success stories, too. Anything that's happened recently at Hellgate, other than everything you talked about in this show today, I think is a success story, but anything else that you're especially proud of?
Well, to have Hellgate Elementary over the last 20 years be designated twice by the federal government as a blue ribbon school district, wow. It's pretty special. There are a lot of school districts that never get that honor, that recognition. And again, it's not because of me. It's because of the work that teachers and building administrators have put in working with parents and kids. We have great people there. And to get those designations and those awards and recognitions is a credit to our kids and our parents and our teachers. And I just couldn't be prouder.
So what do you think? I should call you or email you in the next 4 or 6 months for a midterm exam and kind of see where we're at? Right.
I would hope the next time you call me, I can come back and say, we're looking at COVID-19 in our rearview window, and we are moving on.
That's what I'm talking about. Doug Reisig, Superintendent of Hellgate Elementary on Missoula Real Estate Today, presented by Diane Beck of Windermere Real Estate. A pleasure as always. Wonderful job. Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Missoula Real Estate Today. We hope you found this morning's information to be helpful. If you have any suggested topics for any future Missoula Real Estate Today programs or any questions about buying or selling, contact Diane Beck with Windermere Real Estate. Email dianebeck@realtor.com or visit her website, homesinmissoula.com. That's homesinmissoula.com. We'll see you next time on Missoula Real Estate Today.